Hey, it's Devin. I'm actually going to plug another one of our episodes at the top of today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode and you want to listen to something else in a similar vein, check out our episode that we did last August titled Inside the Violent World of Online Pedophile Hunters. They're both kind of this unofficial series where we do deep dives on these online communities that intersect with police. I'm going to link to that other episode in our show notes, but enjoy this episode about First Amendment auditors right after these ads.
I'm Manny.
I'm Noah.
And this is Devin. And this is No Such Thing, the show where we settle our dumb arguments and yours by actually doing the research. On today's episode, can these YouTubers actually hold cops accountable?
There's no such thing. No such thing. No such thing. No such thing. No such thing.
All right, fellas. So the other day, I was scrolling on Twitter, and I came across this video. It is a man standing outside of like a strip mall parking lot, kind of classic suburban America. And then there is a woman coming up to him. All right, so let's play it.
What are you filming?
What am I filming?
Yes.
Filming a video.
Well, one could assume.
There you go.
On what?
On.
May I
Wow.
ask?
Yes, of course you can.
Yes.
So what I do is I stress test our First Amendment right to the freedom of press in public.
Would you like to elaborate?
What part didn't you understand?
Well, you say freedom of press, so that means I assume that you're reporting on something. What's your topic?
Right, there you go. This is it. The freedom of press.
You don't have a specific topic?
No, I just told you. So do you support our freedom of press?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Well, that's what I'm here to figure out.
How do you figure that out? By filming people driving in and out. I'm super curious.
Well, I see if people like yourself or business owners or police around the area,
Come and ask about why you're
I see if they respect our First Amendment right to the freedom of press in public.
Okay. By what? By filming?
Look, I can explain it to you. I just can't understand it for you.
Damn.
I
Boom.
don't know how many different ways you want me to put it for you.
We'll start using that with y'all.
That was bars.
Really misunderstanding here. I don't see where the disconnect is.
Sure. I'm curious. I want to know more about how your actions are helping to advance that.
How my actions are helping to advance that?
Yeah. So if you're reporting as the press, like,
Mm-hmm.
are you reporting for a website, a newspaper,
Social media. All over
for
social media.
Yep.
Yep.
So you're saying that basically anything posted on social media counts as press.
There you go. That's called
Is that your
stories
point?
disseminating it to the public.
Okay.
Yeah, that's called press.
Are there other sort of points you're trying to make? I'm looking for more specific information on what you're trying to achieve.
Well, this is
I am
it.
a big supporter of the.
All right. Well, that's what we love to hear.
I guess I'm wondering, like, you don't have anything more specific? You're just going around filming to see if anybody asks why you're filming?
No, I told you look. I'll explain it one more time very slowly.
Sure.
So what I do
Yeah.
is I go around various public places
Yeah.
and I stress test the First Amendment right to record in public.
What do you mean by stress test?
I see how people react. I see if they respect my First Amendment right to the freedom of press. See if they believe their feelings override my rights.
That's incredible. That is so incredible. Such an incredible piece of content.
So this man here is a First Amendment auditor.
Yeah.
Have you guys, well, let me set up basically kind of a broad sense of what they are.
Sure.
He describes it many times in the
Yeah.
video. You know,
Yes.
He can't make me
he can
understand
describe it
though.
for
Yeah.
you. I forget the line, but it was a good line. But basically, yeah, they go out into the world, usually, quote unquote, public places in front of stores, strip malls. I've seen a lot of people doing this like in front of like a Starbucks. And they stand in a place that is public property and they film people to sort of garner a reaction, right? So he's filming people coming into the parking lot. He's filming their license plates. He's filming people's faces. And then they come up to him and say, why are you filming?
Yeah.
And he says, because of my First Amendment right. So that there's lots of people who do this sort of thing online. I've been seeing more and more of these types of videos.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all seen these videos on the internet?
I've seen a few that that directly stress test police responses. Like they'll go do this to police officers. This version of it to me is a little like more pointless, I think. This feels like you're just trying to get a rise out of people. The stuff with the police officers is also the same vein of content, but it feels more productive, I guess.
And there's a world, I guess, where this, you know, as he describes, you can escalate to the point where they call the police, and then he has some sort of
like if you worked at the store,
and
then you're like, someone comes in and is like, there's a guy filming, you might call the cops, and then the cops come up, and then you have this with a cop being like, I'm going to arrest you. And that's the real stress test.
I understand the kind of ploy, but it is annoying to hear him pretend that he's not trying to get a cop to show up. That he's just like, he is trying to get a rise out of people so that it's better content, or that the police come and then...
then there's some sort of interaction. And the idea is they're First Amendment auditors, right? So they are doing this to, as he says, stress test the idea that you can be in a public place and record and film people, and that is your right. And that if the police try to interfere with that, you know, he'll upload the video. There's some sort of accountability for the police doing something that is against his First Amendment rights, because he is in the right. He's done the research. He is allowed to do this thing, even if it upsets people, it hurts their feelings. So after the break, we're going to hear from a journalist who has done some deep reporting on these First Amendment defenders. And we'll hear from one of these auditors who feels like he doesn't even deserve the title. All right, we're back. As I mentioned, I spoke with a journalist who has done some real deep reporting on these First Amendment auditors.
My name is Robert Klemko. I am a writer for ESPN, Enterprise and Investigations, and a former writer at The Washington Post, where I covered criminal justice and immigration.
How did you first get into these First Amendment videos? Like, what piqued your interest about it?
I was at a grocery store in Edgewater, Maryland, where I used to live, and they were enacting a mask mandate for public places. And I took a picture of someone who wasn't wearing their mask. And they called the police, who then...
The person
I took a picture of in Safeway. And the person called the police, and the police compelled me to ID. And then they just let me go. And then I thought... If I told them what I did, and if nothing I did was wrong, why did I have to identify myself? You know, why do I have to be in this police report for a thing that isn't a crime? And so I started doing a little bit more research, and I found this community of people who essentially push the boundaries of those laws and your Fourth Amendment rights and your First Amendment rights, and where they intersect. And I watched them religiously for years. And then in my role covering criminal justice, I thought, you know, this is kind of growing. This is pretty interesting. I should write about this.
Can you sort of walk me through or describe sort of like what a cop watcher or First Amendment auditor is?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said cop watcher, because it's important to differentiate. Cop watching is a thing that, it starts in the 60s and 70s with the Black Panthers.
When we first started, we had a police alert patrol, and we would patrol the community. If we saw the police brutalizing anyone, we would put an end to this. Usually the police wouldn't brutalize anyone if we were on hand, because we were armed, and if the police arrested the individual, we'd follow him to the jail and bail the individual out.
And then evolves with the availability of camcorders to Berkeley Copwatch in California.
Copwatch is not at all a political party. We consider ourselves a grassroots movement to encourage and stimulate the desire on the part of the citizenry to control police functioning, to hold the police accountable for their activities, for what they do.
And I don't want to say definitively they're the first, but they're the first really big and notable organization that begins to track police and film interactions between civilians and cops, not in an aggressive way, but in just a monitoring way.
You're putting him in a straitjacket for doing nothing. He's not resisting. Badge number 18. Off of me. I have a right to Copwatch. It's my right. It's my right.
That's what we kind of came to see cop watching as, and something that spread across the country in the 90s and early 2000s.
Can you talk a little bit more about these cop watchers, especially like in California? Like, they're filming the police, but what are they doing with it? Like, they're not posting it online. So sort of what was their goal at the time?
They were posting it on websites, on their own websites. Not on YouTube. And I think more importantly, they were keeping a database of cops that and highlighting the ones on their web pages that they felt were exhibiting abusive behavior. So they were trying to build cases against cops who they considered were terrorizing the community. And then I interviewed a woman who was a founding member of Berkeley Copwatch, and she talked about how the goal was not to catch the cops. First and foremost, it was to protect people and to be a presence so that the cops could not abuse someone's rights.
Yeah, the idea if someone is watching, you're going to be on your best behavior.
First Amendment auditing is a bit of a spinoff of that, but the key difference is that you are not finding and filming an organic interaction between the police and somebody that they're interacting with or investigating. You are flexing your First Amendment right to record in public. And in many cases, the cops come to you because the complaint is being made about you.
I'm just filming in the library here.
Inside, I don't think they allow you.
Yeah, it's a public place. I'm allowed to film in the library. It's a public place.
They have a policy. You want me to get it for you?
Their policy doesn't. The policy doesn't trump the rights of the United States Constitution. I have a freedom of press.
And that's kind of the genre of video that's taken off online.
I'm just gathering. But it doesn't. You don't need credentials, sir. We all have freedom of press.
So yeah, there's cop watchers, which are people who are filming interactions that people are just having with police. A lot of them, use police scanners or whatever to, go to traffic stops and things of that nature. And then there's auditors, and auditors are kind of the subjects of their videos. Some of them are doing things like filming in front of police stations and, their main or outside of jails. And their main point is to get a person of authority to interact with them, right? And test the limits of their First Amendment rights.
Sure.
There's this newer wave of auditors, which will go in front of like a Starbucks and film people's like license plates and faces. And then the people from the Starbucks would be like, why are you filming? Like, what are you doing?
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
This is my Starbucks. I was just wondering what you're doing.
I was just recording.
Okay. For what purpose?
For my boss. I was sent out here just to record. Maybe like the drive-through. A few license plates and get a few faces if I can.
Okay. Yeah.
I was actually about
stop. I'll have to call the security.
No,
team.
I was actually about to leave here in a couple hours. Sure. I wasn't going to be here long.
Okay. Yeah. So we're not comfortable with that here, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave now.
And they are also testing the limits of their First Amendment rights, but they are more so interacting with normal day-to-day people, right? Sometimes the cops are called as a result of that, and it becomes a interaction. But their main sort of focus is to get more of a, kind of like rage bait a little bit.
It starts at a more general public, and then if it gets to police, then maybe great.
Yes, but the police are down the line. They're not the initial target.
Got it. Interesting.
And there's, a lot of people that I talk to in this world, there's kind of a, people are not so happy with the people who are going outside of like a Starbucks and doing this sort of thing. Because they feel like it gives the entire, group a bad name, and they feel like it's kind of cheap because obviously that stuff goes a bit more viral.
Yeah.
Because you get like a random woman yelling at you outside of Starbucks.
Yeah.
But they don't feel like that stuff is, doing as much for the cause.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, no one wants to watch a video where some, minimum wage worker at Starbucks is having to deal with a rage baiter. It makes way more sense to me for this brand of person to go kind of hold a police officer accountable for whatever infringements they might be doing.
I mean, the sad thing is, though, you say people don't want to watch that.
People do want to watch it.
It's like
it gets views.
You might not search for it, but you're watching it.
Sure, yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of I imagine the motive for these people to do a lot of those.
Yeah.
Maybe in addition to the cop stuff.
Yeah, I think
there's an audience.
There's a difference between wanting to see it versus when it's on. I got to see the rest of this out.
It makes you stop.
Yeah,
it's built for like autoplay.
Yes, yeah.
And it's also
classic virality.
That person in the opening, based on how we're defining it here, would be an auditor,
a First Amendment auditor.
Yeah, not a cop watcher.
Yeah.
These lines get a little bit blurred. There are some people who do a little bit of some, a little bit of the other. So, like I said, we'll come back to this, but this is like just as a starting point, how many people in this field kind of separate the two. So Robert credits, in part, some of this new wave of digital creators making this content to this guy named Philip Turner in this really popular court case.
He was one of the first really popular auditors who really understood the law at a deep level and gained a lot of popularity on YouTube in a place where auditors often face the most friction, in Texas. And you'll see if you consume a lot of these videos in the Mid-Atlantic and in the Midwest and in the Northeast and in California especially, it usually goes pretty smoothly. But in the South, in rural areas and big cities too, in Florida and in Texas, auditors really face the most pushback for what they're doing. And so he was popular for filming in Texas. And theoretically, there are more protections under the law there in terms of having to identify yourself or not, because Texas Penal Code 3802 provides that you do not have to provide your identification unless you're lawfully arrested.
Oh, wow.
Whereas the vast majority of other places in the U.S., you need only be reasonably suspected of committing a crime, about to commit a crime, or have committed a crime. So it's a higher standard in Texas. And yet Turner in the late 2000s was getting arrested constantly.
Officers wanted me to ID myself. I refused, and they arrested me for failure to ID, and the charge was to jaywalking. They arrested me, fingerprinted me, and booked me in, and I was in holding for a few hours.
One of those cases, one of those convictions reached the federal appeals court and established for that district that you could film police in their public duties, that you could be on public property and film officials doing their public duties. And there have been a number of lower court decisions across the country to that effect. But his was a notable one because he was the first popular YouTuber to challenge these precedents at that level.
So let me play you guys a bit of this interaction with Philip that led to this court case. So he's filming outside of a police department on the sidewalk across the street.
You got your ID with you?
And these two cops walk up to him.
You got any ID, sir? Sir, do you have any ID? Yes, no, maybe? Do you have any ID, sir?
Am I being detained?
For investigation. With everything that's going on in this world, and especially involving law enforcement, you're walking around law enforcement facility with a video camera. We like to know who's surrounding our complexes. Do you have any ID? Are you refusing to ID yourself, sir?
What's your name and badge number?
Officer Art Reynolds, ID 3825. Are you refusing to ID yourself, sir?
What's your name and badge number?
2586.
Thank you.
Are you refusing to ID yourself, sir?
Am I being detained?
Yes, you are.
For what crime?
I didn't say you committed a crime, but I have the legal right to detain you for further investigation, depending on the outcome of what's going on. You're walking around a law enforcement facility very suspiciously with a video camera. In light of what's going on, we have the right and authority to know who's walking around our facilities.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay, do you have your ID? Are you refusing to ID yourself? Yes or no?
What happens if I don't ID myself?
No, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay, but you have to tell me what happens if I don't ID myself.
No, I don't. Okay. I'm not required to tell you that. Are you? Yes or no? Are you refusing to ID yourself or not?
Once again, what crime have I committed?
I've already explained that to you. I don't need to explain it to you again. Are you or are you not going to identify yourself?
Are you familiar with Texas Penal Code 38.02?
Answer my question. I get to answer the questions here. It's my investigation, not yours.
I'm not going to ID myself.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Wait, what are you doing?
Let go. What are you doing? Put your hands behind your back. This is what happens when you refuse to ID yourself.
You're kidding, right?
Nope.
So he doesn't produce an ID, and as you can hear, he ends up being arrested. And the court ended up siding with him that he did have the right to film these cops. Would you say after this case, there were more creators now making this type of content, or did it just more so give validity to the content that he was producing?
Yeah, I think he created a blueprint for people to win in court. But what was more important was that he gained a following on YouTube.
Because of the case.
Because of the case and because of his style. He is a very calm person. I sat down and had lunch with him when I was writing this story, and he never raises his voice. It's just kind of monotone. And he differs in that from other auditors who get pissed off when the cops come and demand ID. And he never gets upset. He just sort of explains his stance to the officers. And in some cases, that seems to unnerve the officer even more.
Yeah. Because it's like, I guess they're expecting him to be a little bit more antagonistic than he is.
Exactly. Yeah, you see a guy holding a camera, and I think a lot of officers associate that with a protester. And so I think it throws them off a little bit when you are completely calm and you're not angry with them, but you're also not going to kind of budge.
Can you talk me a little bit more through some of the bigger creators in this space and kind of the different approaches that they take?
Yeah. Well, there's an OG that you got to mention first, and that's Jeff Gray. Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigations, I believe is his channel. He's an Army veteran, former truck driver in the Army, and he goes around Florida communities and Southern communities for the most part, and he has a cardboard sign that says, God bless the homeless. And he calls it his magic mirror that he holds up to society.
Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff with Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigations. Today is Saturday, April 25th, 2026. I am here in downtown Hastings, Florida, where Hastings Main Street is hosting this potato and ham and cabbage festival, I guess is what it's called. And I'm going to stand out here with my sign, spread the message of compassion and love for our homeless veterans, solicit prayers and goodwill for our homeless vets.
And he'll stand in a public place, in a farmer's market, in a public park, or outside of a town hall. And invariably, someone calls the police, and the police come and say, he's got to move along. He's got to trespass.
If I'm free to go, have a nice day.
You're not free to go.
So I'm being detained.
Temporarily.
For what reason? What's your reasonable articulable suspicion?
Because I'm conducting an investigation.
Based on what? What am I doing that's illegal?
I'm conducting an investigation.
What's your reasonable?
And my badge says that I can.
What's your reasonable articulable suspicion?
Be quiet.
What is your reasonable articulable suspicion?
I'm conducting an investigation.
Based on what?
I'm conducting an investigation based on a potential security issue.
Potential security issue.
Potential security issue. That's right.
I've explained to you.
Until I see the tapes, I have right to see the tapes. And after I see the tapes,
so you're going to detain me until you see the tapes?
Can you shut up long enough for me to finish talking?
That's not very nice.
I don't give a damn.
Okay.
And he's one of, like you said, one of the OGs. He came up a couple different times. And Robert calls out, like, what's funny about what Jeff does is that he'll use these really specific terms, right, that should kind of, like, or not the way like we talk, and should, like, for the officers be like, I remember something of that, like from training. It's like, we watch those training videos at work and you're like, no one speaks like this.
And if I don't give you ID, I'll go to jail.
Yes.
Even though I've explained to you that I'm engaged in constitutionally protected activity.
I don't care if you explain it to me or not.
Safeguarded by the First Amendment. It's freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly on a traditional public forum. The steps of City Hall.
Correct.
I'm not begging for money.
You got your ID?
I'm not begging for money.
Okay. You got your ID?
Do I need to show you my ID?
You need to show me your ID. Yes, sir.
Or what?
You're going to jail.
But in a lot of cases, these police officers don't remember that training. And it doesn't go off as like a red flag for them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. But, both of these guys, relatively calm. Phil Turner, Jeff.
Not rude. Not rude when he's talking to the guy. Very even keel.
It's like, hey, man, I know you don't understand, but hey, here's what here's why I'm allowed to do this.
Yes, yeah.
There are some people who have very different tactics.
Oh no.
There's another guy in space named Christopher Ruff.
So it's Christopher Ruff, and that's all you're getting. Now fuck off.
Well, I mean, I got the rest.
You little fucking faggot fuck. Go back to your car.
I mean, nobody likes Christopher Ruff, the guy that we rode around with, for obvious reasons. I'm not sure I like the guy. Kind of put me in harm's way a couple times.
It's not gonna look good online, you stupid motherfucker. Just stand there and be quiet. The sheriff's not gonna be happy with you being disrespectful to the public while he's trying to get voted into office, idiot. Damn, dude, shut up. I'm done talking to you. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, servant.
A lot of these guys have a similar experience to what I described, where they were approached by a police officer, compelled to giving their ID or challenged in that way, and then looked up the law later and felt like, oh, that wasn't right. And he had a similar experience in Arizona, and he started filming police and following them around at night, shining flashlights at them, driving at a safe distance, but following them in much the same way you see people following ICE vehicles in various cities where they're surging.
Yeah, establish your crime scene, fat boy, and then we'll do whatever you want.
And he has a very antagonistic relationship with the local cops all around Phoenix, to the extent that he is often credited with many of them putting an encryption delay on their radio traffic, their public radio scanners, to where the public can't listen to it in real time.
Staring at me like you're gonna do something.
I think if you talk to cops around there, they'll say, yeah, it's because of this guy.
It's crazy.
This one guy.
One guy.
We had to pay like $200K to this encryption service.
This guy's so annoying that's wild.
Yeah, but so I found him interesting and wanted to get on the ground with somebody who really was pushing the limits. And so I rode around with him for this story.
So why are we doing it? Because it's obvious that the police do not know how to do their job correctly. It's outlined in policies, procedures, and law very specifically over the course of over 100 years they've been doing this.
And even in a video that you guys shoot with him, he's very confident in sort of, what he believes his rights are. And he's not like, we talk about like calm demeanor. He's like, that is the opposite of what he's giving.
Opposite, yeah. He is testing the obscenity language in First Amendment precedent in terms of like the thin line between fighting words and obscenities. I think I wrote this. We were in the car with him, myself and the videographer, and he rolled down the window and he screamed at this sergeant at this stoplight to eat a bullet.
Yeah, I guess it's not illegal to tell someone to die. He wasn't saying, I'm gonna kill you, or he was just saying, eat a bullet.
Like you said, really testing the limits here. Let me play you guys some of these Chris.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this.
I'm scared.
Take your mask off, dumbass. You stupid sloppy fuck. Oh, I'm glad I found you. Just wanted to rub in, your case got dropped, dumbass. Yeah, man. Oh. Hey, fuck you, Calderon. Fuck you too.
Yeah, so as y'all see, very different tactic. A lot of name calling, cursing. So I tried to get Chris for this episode. So I was emailing him, texting him. He ghosted me twice for interviews. And Chris is someone who really hates the term auditor.
Okay.
I told him I was doing a piece on Copwatch as a First Amendment honors, and he's like, well, let me read exactly what he says. I'm no auditor. That's a slang word used in reference to internet degenerates that rage bait the public. But Chris is someone who, like we were talking before, right? There's cop watchers, there's auditors. He's someone who is like kind of like a combination of the two, right? Because he's showing up to interactions that people are having with police. Like Robert said, like he's following around police. But then he also, so he's cop watching, but then he also, in a lot of times, becomes the subject of the videos.
Yeah. He gets himself involved.
He gets involved in the interactions beyond just filming them. Right. He becomes kind of a character in it as well.
Yeah, even the title of that video was I kept getting arrested, so I kept filming the cop. It's like very much about what he's doing deliberately.
This stupid bitch right here just assaulted me. Don't say my name. You don't know me, motherfucker. Fuck you, dude. I don't gotta go nowhere. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm on a private sidewalk, public sidewalk. You're live on the internet. Go ahead and arrest me. Go arrest me. Go ahead, stupid. You're live on the internet. Watch out. You guys see this shit?
So Chris, over the last couple weeks, has stepped away from cop watching.
Interesting.
So now what Chris does is he spends a lot of time streaming. And what he is usually doing is calling out auditors for behavior that he doesn't think is sort of like worthy of the crown.
There's this ex-cop that takes his son, who's like 17 years old, 16, 17 years old, out to record restaurants and businesses and calling it a First Amendment audit. I want you guys to think of the fucking dynamic there, and you're supporting this nonsense.
But he's kind of, made this switch from cop watching himself to criticizing a lot of people in the industry.
He's auditing the auditors.
Exactly, taking a step back.
So he's not necessarily opposed to the term. He's more just upset that the term has been watered down by people he feels like are kind of clowns.
Yeah, I think he's opposed to the connotation now that it has.
Of kind of like baiting the public, and then if the cops come, great. But I get that. I mean, I think we kind of agreed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Chris is like even in my interactions with him, I'll be kind and say he's a character.
Yeah.
But he can come off a bit rough at times.
Yes.
But I think at his core, I think we would agree on some things, which like cops should be held accountable, especially with their interactions, with regular people like us.
Yeah.
I think we just would go about it differently.
It's uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
But that's by design.
So someone who also spends some time sort of like auditing the auditors, but does it in a very different way, is another person that Robert brought up.
Another big one that I find really interesting is this channel called Lackluster. It's run by a guy named Dale Hiller. And he takes interactions from around both the auditing world and just the police interaction world, more so police interactions nowadays, and he breaks down the law and all the precedent. He does painstaking research, which I really learned a lot from when I started watching these videos and of course fact checking him and all that. And it's refreshing because the vast majority of the community is just a guy who, maybe goes out and records some interactions, but for the most parts, grabs other people's videos and puts them up on the channel and offers a little commentary. And the commentary is often incorrect.
Okay.
Or imprecise, and misstates the law. And a lot of these videos, unfortunately, give people bad information on what they can and can't do within First Amendment rights and Fourth Amendment rights.
After this short break, my conversation with Dale Hiller, and Robert reveals how police departments across the U.S. are changing because of these auditors. All right, so can I have you start by just saying your name and what you
do? Sure. My name is Dale Hiller. I'm the owner and operator of a YouTube channel called Lackluster.
So Dale, can you walk me through a bit of your background?
Yeah. Well, I had no idea what I was going to do, like most of us when, in my early 20s. So I joined the military. I got out. I was a medic during my military career, and I really had no direction after the military. And I eventually became a dual function firefighter paramedic for LA City Fire, and spent a couple of years doing that until I just couldn't handle it mentally, essentially, any longer. And PTSD from wartime experience and all that fun stuff caught up with me. And so I left the department and did a couple other small business ventures in between here and there. And then I started streaming, doing YouTube stuff, but mostly gaming related. And in my spare time, I was watching these audit videos and police encounters, cop watchers, all of the like. And one day I had my own experience. And when I posted that to YouTube, it exploded. And I had a neighbor, he was 18, and one day he was intoxicated and he started talking about harming himself. And everybody came to me like, hey, you're his neighbor, go rescue him, basically. And I was like, oh, well, in one of the messages, he said he had a weapon, so I'm not going to go personally, I'll call the cops. And the cops show up.
Sometimes he'll go in the backyard and smoke, so I don't know if the voice can travel.
Copy.
Yeah.
How do you get to your backyard?
There's a gate on the side over here. Or through my house.
Do you mind if I go back there?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. No dogs.
They came into my house and looked at his property over my fence, and then they started gearing up in SWAT, their full riot gear, helmets, shield, everything. And as they were approaching the door, I started filming from my front porch. And as they were knocking, one of them realized that I was out there filming them and tells me to go inside.
We need you to get inside.
For what?
The guy comes running out here with a gun. What do you think?
Then I'll get inside.
At this point, I knew I had a right to be on my own property, on the curtilage of my, my front porch, and so I just ignored him for a minute, and he started yelling at me, telling me I was going to get arrested.
Okay, I'll be back to arrest you if you don't get inside.
You're going to arrest me on my own property for standing up?
To arrest you.
Okay.
You're going to get arrested.
For standing on my porch?
Okay.
And that's when I learned, I'm not a good auditor because I'm unable to keep my cool. My anger just kind of explodes, and I'm not very nice.
I'll be back with the summons. You can explain it.
You got it. You'll talk to my lawyer. What's your name and badge number then? Hey, name and badge number. You fucking welfare recipient.
Dale's neighbor was safely removed from the home and taken in by EMTs.
I took the recording and put that on the internet. I got their body cams, and it became a 4-part series where I was exposing how when they gear up, they actually cover up the body cam with their vests. So when they're going into an extremely hostile and violent situation, they're actually covering up their video cameras. And a few other things like that. And that kind of launched the Lackluster career. Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. Today's story was submitted by Frickin' Media and Michigan Constitutional Crusader.
I asked Dale, what does he think makes a good auditor? He says, he thinks he'll be a bad auditor because he can't keep his cool in these interactions. And he thinks, a lot of the people that he points to are really good about keeping their cool in these interactions.
So we have a lot of guys like Long Island Audit. You'll never hear him cuss. He's always professional. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And he kind of mirrors the attitude that he receives. Jeff Gray, always super respectful. So those guys are your your pinnacle, like top tier dudes that most people look up to in the space. And then you got other people who, the moment they see, cherries and berries, it's F you pig, and just going off 100%. And there were a lot of people in the community that didn't like those auditors. And for me, they're my favorite to watch. It's the most entertaining, but it really is. But I think they're the most important too, sometimes, because they're towing that line. They're really testing the boundaries and putting these guys to the test. And I know from my experience as a firefighter, we learn how to fight a fire in a sterile environment where you're safe.
Yeah.
And it's the same for the police department. They're learning all their skills on how to deal with the public, make arrests, blah, blah, in these sterile environments. And they're tested a little bit, but it's more like it's fake. That's just my drill sergeant. And so to have these guys that like really come at them like fuck you. Oh, I'm sorry. F you.
No, you can curse and stuff.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
You guys just totally going off on them like that.
Yeah.
I think it's necessary for these guys to learn and to be exposed to that, because those people exist not just in the auditing community, but in the mental health community and more.
So Dale doesn't consider himself an auditor because he doesn't like go on the ground and film interactions himself.
My platform has become ever evolving. In the beginning, I was doing intro, outro, and showing somebody else's interaction.
Today's story is from Blaze Media, and he has given us the honor of breaking down this video for him. Today we're going to cover concealed carry in Oklahoma, felony pointing firearms, otherwise known as brandishing a weapon, as well as stop and ID laws versus a Terry stop.
And I still do that, but it's become something totally different, because at first it was focused mostly on auditing specifically. And for a while, maybe a year and a half to 2 years now, I don't focus very much on auditing at all. One day I found Google Forms. I had never heard of it. And I created a form that was basically like, hey, what's your name? What officers were involved? Where did it happen? What date, time, blah, blah. Everything that I would need for a script, essentially, I would write down as a question, and then a place for them to upload their video. And people use it like crazy. They send me crazy stuff, but most of the time, good interactions for me to break down and discuss. On April 1st in 2025, a viewer named Kevin was driving through Texas at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he came across the Sierra Blanca Border Patrol immigration checkpoint. Kevin starts recording after being sent to secondary inspection. I've added the body cam footage as the incident happens, which only became available in January of 2026, nearly a year after the incident occurred. And the only reason Kevin has the footage is because he successfully sued U.S. Customs and Border Protection for the footage. So that collection point for victims essentially has become a way for me to contact these people, help them if they don't have like a complete record of the incident. A lot of times they only have their own video footage and they don't know how to do a public records request because it's a difficult process, and after doing thousands of them, I still don't consider myself professional at them. There's a lot that I have to learn about records requests. And then we can put it together, tell a story, force a government agency to acknowledge that something happened and that they're responsible for it, to take some accountability if we're lucky. 4 months after the original video, Sheriff Tracy White was finally indicted.
7 months later, a grand jury indicted the sheriff. He's charged with menacing and harassment.
And if not, then we can fundraise. Last year, I think we raised like $250,000 on GoFundMe for victims to fund lawsuits and to push these things through court. And as a result, we're getting case law established in like all over the United States. So yeah, that's what it's grown into. At first, it was just kind of a vehicle for all entertainment, autodidaction, self-learning. And yeah, now it's become something much bigger.
So do you not see that process that you just talked about, right? Like, okay, someone is, hey, I had this incident. It was on this day, this county. Here's what I have. You're going through, like you're saying, you're doing public record requests. You're getting body cam footage. You're getting, if there's police reports, you're putting all this together. And then you're, applying, okay, what were the police supposed to be doing here? What are they allowed to do? What are they legally allowed to do? You're writing a script. You're putting together that video. Do you not view that as a form of auditing?
I mean, I certainly could.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way you asked it, yeah.
I know, it was a bit of a leading question there.
Yeah. No, I love how you framed it, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the way that you asked it, absolutely. I guess the reason I wouldn't naturally call what I do auditing is just because of how it's portrayed online. It's usually somebody with a camera actually going to a physical location and, seeing what the reaction is. So
makes sense. I was curious, Robert's reporting if he found that these guys have actually changed the way people are policing.
There's a lot of police officers around the country, just a drumbeat of police officers who have been disciplined, suspended, fired for their behavior towards auditors. There's a certain class of officer who, will straight up say to an auditor, "You can't film me," and that's just like so untrue. And so in a sense, it has cleaned up a number of police departments across the country in that way. On the other hand, auditors have put themselves in some really dangerous positions, and they made the job of law enforcement a lot more difficult, especially the more antagonistic auditors who, ignore orders to get back and maintain a safe distance and all that. To the extent that a number of states have enacted or tried to enact laws creating a buffer zone around police officers. 25 feet is the popular number around the country in terms of the states that have enacted this. In Arizona, they enacted a buffer and it was struck down, I believe, by a federal court or a higher court. Florida's is still in existence. Indiana's was struck down by a federal court.
The appeals court has blocked the enforcement of Indiana's 25-foot buffer law. The law makes it a crime for someone to approach within 25 feet of a police officer while the officer is engaged in enforcement duties.
So I think there's only 3 or 4 states with these. The concern among civil rights organizations and reporters' rights organizations, journalists' rights organizations, is that if you say that the police can tell you to get 25 feet back from them while they're working a crime scene, then that cop can just keep walking and say, well, now you still need to be 25 feet from me, right? And then you can't film the police interaction that you're there to film. So it's like more of a concern in a traditional cop watching sense. I think that there would be a stronger pushback against these laws on behalf of like the ACLU and some of these other organizations, if not for the Trump presidency ushering in all of these other things that were higher priorities to fight.
I believe this was in your article. You were saying that some police precincts said it was harder to recruit people because of these videos.
Yes, yes. Because a lot of people, who I think might want to be a police officer, to help people or, for whatever reason, don't necessarily want to be on camera all day, every day. And you'll see that in guys who don't want to give their name. Officers who won't say their name out loud, won't say their badge number out loud. I think part of it is they don't want to be on the internet and under scrutiny in that way. Because it's easy enough now, and this is something that's changed in the last 10, 15 years, it's easy enough to Google, last name and Tempe Police Department and find the person's whole name.
Yeah.
And find the person's Facebook.
Yep.
Or their wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, people on the internet are ruthless. Like, I'll see when these videos pop up, it'll be like, oh, this guy, and they'll tag, like, there'll be 4 or 5 other videos with the same officer, and it'll be like, yeah, literally, here's his Facebook, here's his wife, here's his kids.
Yeah, you have to, I think more than ever before as a cop, you have to just be offline.
Yeah.
And your family has to be offline.
Yes.
Because I've just been, like, poking around and been curious, like, oh, I wonder if I could find this guy, this officer that I saw in this video, just like as an exercise for myself. And I'll Google him and it'll take me 5 minutes to find his mom because his mom liked the post that the Gardena PD posted when he graduated from the police academy. And it's like, oh, you have the same unique last name. Let me click on this. Oh, here's a picture of you and your mom.
And her stuff's all public.
Her stuff's all
she
public.
She doesn't have anything locked up.
Yeah. You didn't call moms and tell her to put it all on private. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mom is always the way in.
Yeah. So I think that's a big deterrent. You do not get to live any kind of a private life as a cop now.
Yeah.
It's really interesting hearing about some of the kind of consequences of what these auditors are doing. I mean, you could argue that even if the only thing they were getting done was that police officers were being fired for the way that they behaved towards an auditor, you could argue, well, if you're going to behave that way towards an auditor, you're probably behaving similarly towards regular people. And the fact that you're fired from the department is a huge plus because you would have been interacting with whatever.
Yeah, someone who's not filming it.
Yeah, hundreds of people after that. And so even if that was the limit of what they were getting done, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, and Robert also said, like, a lot of police departments, especially in, you know, places where these auditors and cop watchers are more prevalent, like, training has become more essential. And, you know, like, the departments now are saying, hey, you got to be watching out for these guys. And here's what the law says. Here's what they can and what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
So it is forcing a lot of these departments to educate their officers in a way that maybe in the past wasn't as important because, sure, maybe they didn't know what the laws were, but people weren't filming it or uploading it. And, like, there wasn't really much recourse because then it becomes a he said, she said sort of thing. So, yeah, I do think, you know, as annoying as some of these others seem to be, like, it does seem like they are changing things in some ways for the better.
Yeah, I feel like our society is probably better if police officers don't view themselves as these kind of immune to criticism, above the law, all powerful guys, and instead view themselves as people who are actually working in service of their communities.
Well, man, it's a great transition because I wanted to ask Dale, you know, you're doing all this work. What are your ultimate goals for this work?
Once we have widespread education, then the culture changes. And we've seen it just in the 5 or 6 years that I've been doing it. We've seen police departments that walk up and go, okay, we know you have the right to film, blah, 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 blah. I never heard that before. I never heard that. It was always get back and, you know, kill your camera, whatever. So we're seeing small changes like that. And ultimately, I think the goal would be once the culture changes, not our culture, the culture within the police departments will change as well.
I'll give you two to three laws that you can either create or upend as part of the work that you're currently doing. What would they be? I see you're wearing abolish a qualified immunity shirt. So is that one of them?
That's number one because I think it's the easiest. We see, qualified immunity, most people don't know, it exists on the federal level and on the state level. And already we've seen it abolished in quite a few states, New Mexico, Colorado. But the problem is most big civil rights cases are fought in federal court. And so we need it abolished on the federal level.
So qualified immunity is this legal doctrine that basically says a police officer can't be personally sued for violating your constitutional rights unless there's a previous court case with really similar facts showing that exact same behavior was ruled unconstitutional. So critics argue in practice that makes it really hard to actually hold police accountable. Here's a wild example of how this can play out. In 2016, a corrections officer pepper sprayed a man in solitary confinement for no reason at all. Initially, the lower court granted this officer qualified immunity. Why? Previous cases show that an officer shouldn't punch or tase an inmate in that situation, but there were no previous cases involving pepper spray specifically. Luckily, in this case, the Supreme Court ultimately stepped in and said the lower courts were taking a doctrine way too literally.
And then on top of that, I'm considering this still within the same law that we're abolishing or getting rid of, is indemnification.
Indemnification means if an officer is sued, the government ends up fronting the bill. So if a jury awards a victim, say $5 million for a civil rights violation, the officer is not paying for that out of pocket. It is actually being covered by the government or the government's insurance. So ultimately, the taxpayer is fronting that bill.
I think there are good, legitimate reasons to use indemnification, but it can't just be blanket every single time. So that's number one. And number two would be obvious, Terry v. Ohio. There's nothing in the Constitution about reasonableness. The reasonableness standard altogether is just hokey-pokey BS.
So Terry v. Ohio is a Supreme Court case that lowered the standard that police need to stop and frisk someone. It used to be probable cause, and now it's even lower to a standard called reasonable suspicion.
It should be based on probable cause. I think we would see far fewer, I accidentally detained the wrong person, or, cops holding guns to kids' heads, and, police violence and everything else. It would probably disappear with the Terry v. Ohio, but I think that's a really difficult one to reverse, because not only do you have Terry v. Ohio, but you have all the case law that was built off Terry v. Ohio as well. So it might not ever happen, but it would, magic wand it. That'd be on the list.
For me, it's not knowing much about this world and having not really seen many of these videos. I was like, yeah, this is kind of weird or strange, and like I get it, but it's like I don't really see what the point of doing this is. Mm-hmm. Hearing this, all the context around it, I do appreciate, and I do think largely it's a noble effort, even among the more in-your-face sorts of provocateurs in the space, maybe more so for them. This is not, I'm probably not going to be tuning into the streams personally, but it's like, yeah, it's good. It's like people should know their rights. And as kind of small or silly as some of these things might seem, it's like, it's helpful to know and to understand. And then obviously that scales up to the more extreme consequences that can come from police interactions or anything else. So.
Yeah,
I support them. I stand with them.
I feel like this auditing, the cop watching space just kind of mirrors media in general, right? There's a little bit of everything for everybody. If you want to go deep, there's people like Dale who are doing FOIA requests, or doing getting body cam footage and public records and editing it together and like writing scripts and doing that stuff. Mm-hmm. If you want to watch just somebody rage baiting someone at a McDonald's, that exists too. But I agree with no. Like I think a lot of what I was feeling about this going into it was sort of shaded by the McDonald's, Starbucks guys yelling and obnoxious guys, yelling at individuals, and less, I was less focused on the people who are actually interacting with police officers. And
I guess that goes towards Mr. Ruff's point about how those guys are kind of giving everyone else a bad name. I think we should try this. The three of us. Let's go down to, what's that jail they're holding Diddy at?
All right, so we're going to go down to the jail.
Just whip out the video camera.
And see who shows up. Maybe we have Noah do that one.
Get behind me.
No such thing.
So I was curious why we're not seeing more of these First Amendment auditors interacting with ICE officers around the U.S. If you want to hear Robert's response to that, check out our Instagram, No Such Thing That Show. We're going to link to it in our show notes. I'm going to put a reel there with Robert breaking down why we're not seeing more interactions between First Amendment auditors and ICE agents. No Such Thing is a production of Kaleidoscope Content. Our executive producers are Kate Osborne and Mangesh Hadikadur. The show was created by Manny Fidel, Noah Friedman, and me, Devin Joseph. Our theme and credit song is by Manny. Mixing for this episode by Steve Bone. Our guests this week were Robert Klemko at ESPN and Dale Haler from Lackluster Media. Dale actually has an app, which I'll let him plug here.
Attorney Shield is an app that myself, Long Island Audit, and a couple other people co-founded. And basically, we wanted anybody that was ever contacted by police during any police-initiated encounter, you would have immediate access to an attorney. So they could tell you what your rights are.
If you have feedback for us or a question, you can email us at mannynoahdevin@gmail.com, or you can leave a voicemail by calling the number in our show notes. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Bye, guys.
No such thing.